Good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. Happy to have all of you on today. It's just another beautiful afternoon in Grenada. What can I say? But we're happy to welcome all of you who are listening on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, Talk Grenada. Indeed, those who are on the NDC Facebook platform and those who are on YouTube. Well, we have a very interesting lineup for you today. We have in studio with us Senator the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette, a man of many parts. We'll get into that very soon. So before we do, we'll just share with you an ad, and then we come right back and we'll be chatting extensively with Senator Lacrette on several subject areas. So stay tuned. Back with you in a moment.
The Division of Youth within the Ministry of Youth and Sports is thrilled to announce the relaunch of the National Youth Ambassador Programme, a golden opportunity for young leaders aged 16 to 29 to drive social change and become the voice of the nation's youth. As a National Youth Ambassador, you'll lead community projects, champion causes and collaborate with policymakers to create meaningful change. Whether it's organising events, raising awareness on critical issues like education, youth violence, mental health, or environmental sustainability, your voice will make a difference. Are you ready to lead, inspire, and make an impact? Join us. Be part of a prestigious group of changemakers. With comprehensive training, mentorship, and support, we're calling on you to build a brighter Grenada for future generations. Apply now to become a National Youth Ambassador. Visit us on Instagram at MoyGND, Facebook at Ministry of Youth and Sports Grenada, or call the Division of Youth at 440-6917 extension 21536. Registration closes on Friday, the 8th of March 2024. Don't miss your chance to be the change that you want to see. The Prime Minister of Grenada, Carifta and Petit Martinique is keen to see more and more young people step into leadership and encourages the youth to seize this opportunity to become agents of change, to inspire others and to contribute to the development of Grenada. Young people of 16 to 29 are eligible to become youth ambassadors, so do make sure that you submit your application by Friday, the 8th of March 2024.
Welcome back to all of you who are listening on radio and those who are online. We welcome you to yet another Heartbeat episode. And in studio this afternoon is Senator the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette.
Just Laco.
And as he says, just Laco. But he has been, an individual who has inspired so many young people and the nation throughout the campaign and throughout his office while as minister responsible for health, wellness, religious affairs. He has now been bestowed with the new title, Minister Responsible for Youth and Sports. Laco, as he is affectionately known, is someone who touches the lives of so many young people and not so young in his constituency and throughout Grenada. Well, today we'll be chatting with him on matters occurring in his constituency, matters regarding policy direction of the Ministry of Youth and Sport, and of course we have Intercol, we have Carifta. Tomorrow, Monday, there is the special sitting of the 2024 Commonwealth Youth Parliament debate, and just so many other things. Senator Lacrette has declared 2024 to 2027 as the years of global youth leadership and succession planning. He is an education administrator, an adjunct faculty instructor, and many other things. Welcome to Heartbeat once again, Brother Laco, as you say. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank
it's
you
been
very
a long
much,
time.
Terry. Oh, it has been a very long time.
It's been a long time.
The pleasure is indeed mine.
Yeah, and of course, I like your provocative attire this morning. But this is Lako.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Welcome to the Heartbeat.
Thank you very much, Ambassador.
So tell me, what is happening in your constituency? I know you've been doing a lot of work on the ground. Tell us about it and just share.
Thank you for the opportunity, Terry, and to our listening viewers all across the state of Grenada, on whatever platform that you are listening to us from this afternoon. Well, I would just permit me the opportunity to just kind of go back to the genesis a bit, because post-elections 2022, September actually of 2022, my team and I, we went back on the ground in the various communities throughout the constituency, and we decided that we do not want to set a particular direction or course for the constituency without hearing from the people themselves in the various communities. Because we could sit as a team, we can sit as a team, and we can craft a very lovely way forward for the constituency, but sometimes it is not where it meets the heart of the people, or it is not what the people want. So as a result of that, from September to December 2022, we went back on the ground in every community throughout the constituency and held individual community meetings. And I thank God for the respect that I have amongst the people, regardless of the political divide that they span throughout the constituency. The respect brought them out. So they came out in their hundreds, every community, to hear what is it that I have to say, and to also be a part of the dialogue and discussion with appointing persons within their community structure who will serve on the Council for St. George Northwest. So one of the first things that we did, because I understood quite clearly from the very beginning that the people did not really have a voice as it relates to partnering with the politician in charting the way forward as to what the constituency should look like from a futuristic perspective. And as a result of that, one of the things I said to the team, we will not be able to do this job alone, especially for the next 4.5, 5 years, whenever the next election is going to be called. And I said to them, we're going to need more hands, more feet. We're going to need more voices that will be advocating for the people on the ground. And I said to them, I think that forming a council throughout the constituency with individuals who span both sides of the political divide will be an excellent idea for us. And we can work through the council. Because, Terry, one of the things that I did not want happen is that is for color to prevail throughout the constituency, especially knowing the constituency that it is. And as a result of that, the council is not political. The council is not color. The council serves St. George Northwest. So through a democratic process of elections in every community, the people had an opportunity to nominate persons and also vote for them thereafter. And that was done. And I just love the spirit of unity and collaboration and support in which the voting process was conducted. That and it was a prayer of my heart as well, that persons in the community vote individuals who are left and individuals who are right, because you don't want a council that is made up of one particular set of persons, because it may have the potential to be lopsided in its distribution of services and delivery of the support structure and system it is supposed to implement within the constituency. At the end of the day, long story short, the council was formed, and persons are so committed and dedicated to seeing community development and community empowerment things happen within the structure of their community is just extremely amazing. So the council has 3 mandates: poverty reduction, and we do some of that through some of the social programs that government offer, and we do a lot of community development and community empowerment work. We have begun a number of community development projects, 3 of which we have said to the people in our last town hall in January. We held our first town hall Wednesday, January 3rd. In fact, post-elections, we have been going back to our constituency every quarter and hosting a town hall, and we are going to stick to that until the next election. I believe in the power of engagement. I believe in the empowerment that engagement gives. And the last town hall that we had in January, it was a planning town hall, 233 persons strong, attending the town hall, coming to sit together in a collaborative format and planning what they want to see the future of the constituency look like.
I remember attending one of those.
Oh yes, I remember you attending one of those early town halls as well.
Yeah.
So from community daycare centers to painting of pedestrian crossings, etc. I mean, the brilliant ideas that came out of the people really debunk what you hear about residents of St. George Northwest. And I really embrace the fact that people came out regardless of their political persuasion, and we were able to sit together and plan for the constituency. So the council has been embarking on a number of projects, apart from community development, community empowerment, and poverty reduction. Under community empowerment, we have adopted all the schools in the constituency.
Wow.
So the preschools, the primary schools, and the lone secondary, Happy Hill Secondary School, we have adopted all the schools. So anything that they need, the council does its best based on its composition and its networking to provide that for the respective school and their requests.
Just to interject there, the adoption of these schools are under your portfolio.
No, the adoption of the schools is under the portfolio of the person who is representing the constituency for the National Democratic Congress. Yes.
Who happens to be Laco.
Yes, who happens to be Laco.
Okay.
But it is, but the adoption comes under the umbrella of the St. George Northwest Council.
Right.
And because the council is not political and the council does not look at a face, we look at community development and community empowerment. From the building of security walls and so on for primary schools to murals on some of the pre and primary schools to, I remember at the beginning of school last year, September, we gave out something to the tune of $27,000 to all of the schools throughout the constituency. We split that $27,000 up and divided it throughout the schools in the constituency because the council is serious about the mandate that it has been given. And I think people really just wanted an opportunity to serve. And in a constituency like that, the best thing that you can do is to have a neutral council, a neutral committee, a neutral body who is working on the behalf of the people and not colorized.
Fantastic. Well, just to stick a pin on that note, in another capacity which I hold as ambassador for Diaspora Affairs, Grenadians out in the diaspora have been engaged. We continue to engage them with respect to adopting schools. So I'm glad that you have kind of you're ahead of the game, so to speak. And what we'd like to do, Grenadians who live in the diaspora, who are from Northwest in particular, to say to them, this is going on. Please engage this committee and help them, provide whatever assistance that you can. And this is what the Diaspora Office is now doing from minister to minister, representative to representative, whether if you're elected or non-elected, once you're a caretaker for the constituency or you're a member of parliament leading a constituency. Let us know the number of schools that you have, and we try to put now Grenadian nationals living abroad to work with your private or with your committee basically to assist with the school's development.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that.
Well, I mean, it's all about building the next generation.
And it's also understanding the educational landscape of the constituency.
Exactly.
A lot of the projects and programs that we embark upon in the constituency, for me personally, after being born, growing up in the constituency and then working there for 21 years, the projects and programs, they come from a very deep place of understanding what the people want and what their needs are. From an individual perspective, you are going to help with certain things and lend a helping hand. But from a value-added perspective, in terms of community projects and programs, you must hear from the people. And be able to discern whether or not the project being value-added from a community perspective is going to trickle into the home and also add value to every life in that home as well. So our bus stop project, our solar lighting project, as well as the development or the reconstruction, rehabilitation of the community centers within the constituency or throughout the constituency that has been closed for so long, and turning them into learning centers. We are already finished with Happy Hill Community Center.
That's great.
We just have the windows to change, and the lighting is already done, I believe, the electrical work, and it's just the blessing of the community center and the addition of the laptops, desktops, etc., and it's going to be open to the children of the community. Well,
would you say that you are well in tune, or you're ahead of your constituency manifesto, which you presented to the nation when you before you were elected?
There are a number of things in the constituency manifesto that we're definitely on target with. For example,
yes.
turning community centers into learning centers. That's one of the things in the constituency manifesto. Bringing back a lot of the sporting activities. I mean, St. George Northwest used to be a real sporting hub because a lot of sportsmen and women come from that constituency. And the sports we had, I believe in 2022 January, St. George Northwest Road, really we were not able to have it this year because of all the independence activities. We decided to give way to the national activities, and seeing that it's our 50th anniversary, and maybe may host it later on during the year at some particular point in time. But those manifesto promises that we made re-constituency, we are doing our very best to ensure, at least if we don't finish, we've started these promises so that the people can see some action is being placed to our words.
But it's not quite 2 years as yet, but you're well advanced
Terry,
with your constituency promises.
I'm not playing with that at all. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. It's good to know that members of parliament and parliamentary representatives, they are well in line and in tune with accomplishing these.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, great. Well, glad to know that your constituency work is advancing well.
Yes, I'm happy as
and
well.
The issue regarding the policy direction now of your new portfolio as Minister responsible for youth and sport, how is that progressing?
Well, it's progressing extremely well. I first of all really want to give a shout out to the Honourable Ron Redhead, parliamentary representative for the St. George Northeast constituency. Minister really did a really excellent job in laying the groundwork for some policy direction and directive that I just have to pick up and run with it, especially the national sports policy. Really did some work with that, and I want to commend him because it's when you lay the platform and you implement and institute the structure, but did not get an opportunity to really implement thereafter. The person coming after you has a much easier job in picking up whatever framework that is there and really just adding the final touches to it, and thereafter you have implementation and execution. So I just want to say shout out to Minister for the work that he did at the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Well, congrats, Ron, for the foundation that you laid.
Half pint, wherever you are. Wherever you are,
understand that.
He will definitely understand that jargon. So, from a policy directive, the ministry does not really have much of policy directives per se in terms of legislations that need to go to Parliament so that they can be enacted. The sports policy was already done sometime last year, September, October, I believe. We have more institutional or inner working policies of the ministry that needs to be instituted. For example, we have recognized that given the mandate now for the use of community playing fields, seeing that the National Athletic Stadium was not available to most primary and secondary schools for the hosting of their individual sports meet, you now saw the need for the development and enhancement of community playing fields. And as a result of that, we need to have an internal policy that speaks to the management of playing fields. That is a policy that we're now looking at. We will seek the technical support and counsel for that policy when that time arrives. We're also looking at an elite program policy. Our professional athletes who function on the international front, when they return on their off-season to Grenada, can be immersed into that elite program, and as a result of that, they can take the athletes who we have here in Grenada in whatever craft or field that they span and train them, teach them what they have learned on the international front, and sort of prepare them for an international immersion, so to speak. So I know that those are two of the policies. We're also looking at a national youth policy. We have a national sports policy, but you cannot have a national sports policy without a national youth policy, because I believe it's the other way around. The youth policy must inform the sports policy. So as a result, upon going in, when I had a very thorough review of the sports policy, I said to myself, Jonathan, we're going to need a youth policy to be able to back this sports policy with some strong edifice.
Well, Ron had to leave something for you to do.
You are correct. So we have already sought the technical assistance on the sports policy and on the youth policy, and we are well on our way to ensuring maybe that by June, July, we have a draft. youth policy to work with. Of course, in consultation with all of the organizations and institutions, be it private or NGO, whose mandate spans some degree of youth development and youth empowerment. Because we want to ensure that their input is extremely valuable to how this youth policy must be crafted and how it informs the sports policy thereof. So those are some of the internal policy structures that we are currently looking at to put in place.
Fantastic. Now, 65%, almost 65% of the population is under the age of 35. You probably don't look more than 35 yourself, which is good.
Praise the Lord.
It's good to have a young youth minister. I say no more on that.
Let's leave a period there.
Nonetheless, how do you feel about this great responsibility which has been bestowed upon you by the Honorable Deacon Mitchell?
Well, I want to, from a public perspective, thank Prime Minister, and I did so at the launch that we had when we had the press conference, when the reassignment took place. Thank Prime Minister for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It is indeed an honor. But as I also said in the press conference, that youth and sports is not unfamiliar territory to me. Having a very strong education background, especially in the public sector, and being a youth pastor for a number of years as well, from an ecclesiastical perspective, you understand young people. And coming fresh out of the public sector in 2022, I mean, you really just came from a deep dive of youthfulness and youthful vigor and verve. And I think you and I had this conversation already, and I remember saying to you maybe a few days or weeks ago that when it comes to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we are not an employment agency, and that youth development and youth empowerment is not a sector. I remember making that statement quite vehemently, that youth empowerment and youth development is not a sector. And I was also saying to the GS a few days ago that because he was asking me about certain programs and so on, and I said, GS, I want you to understand that from a fundamental place. It almost seems as if all institutions and organizations have left youth development and youth empowerment up to government. Even parenting. Ministry of Social Development have a number of parenting programs. Even parenting. I remember when the church, Terry, used to play a very significant and pivotal role in the development of youth within the community, because I'm a product of community youth groups that automatically translated into church at some particular point in time. I mean, given the fact that my father was a minister of the gospel, I mean, sometimes even though you grow up in those kind of spiritual environments, you don't want to hear about the gospel because you hear enough from inside. You want a different narrative outside, and you want your own way too, you know. But nevertheless, at some particular point in time, transferred into the church youth group and recognized that there was a number of young people, boys as well as girls, a part of the youth group, whether or not they had any kind of salvation experience. And I'm wondering, where did that structure go? Albeit the generation has evolved. Young people are more tech savvy. There are more things right now out there as it relates to social media platforms that are taking the attention of our youth. And even the informal economy is growing. You know what that is. That is taking the attention of our youth, the time of our youth, the mindset of our youth, etc. But I'm wondering, where is the church and the purpose and the role it used to play in developing youth within the community, in ensuring that programs and projects are implemented that allows the youth to see that this is value added and this is definitely going to mean something to me because I live in the community and I am akin to the project or program that is taking place, and as a result of that, I want to be a part of that development. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. So from the church to private sector, public sector, organizations, NGOs, whose mandate spans youth empowerment and youth development, you're not really seeing that kind of energy, that vibe, according to the young people, that really speaks to them coming out and saying, you know what, we're starting this program. 18-year-old, we want you on board. 21-year-old, we want you on board. Or we're going to a specific community where the youth are stricken by poverty or they're stricken by socio-economic issues and challenges. And we're saying, you know what, we want to take these group of young persons and we want to be able to challenge their mindset. We want to be able to challenge their futuristic thinking. How do they see themselves? Where do they see themselves, etc. It was Thursday or Friday, I believe. I was at Thursday. I was at MCC. The council, under the auspices of its chair and deputy chair, requested that I come and speak to MCC students. And they did not really give me a topic to speak on. They just said we wanted to motivate and we wanted to be able to inspire these group of young people. Over 100 and something young persons turned out. There were those online from the Maribor campus as well as the Carriacou and Petit Martinique campus. And Terry, I really did not have a subject, really, because the subject was break free.
Well, you don't need one.
It was just the subject was just break free, because I recognize that a number of our young people, be it male or female, really do not have an understanding of who they are, and they don't walk in the strength of that understanding, and they don't walk in the confidence of that understanding, as gifted and talented as some of them are. And even those who are of a very strong spiritual background, as anointed as some of them are, they do not really walk in the strength and purpose of who they are and what they bring to the table. You and I are sitting right here, right now, and we have two chairs, and both of our chairs are pulled up to the table. That means that we're having a conversation with each other, and you have a say at the table because you have a seat at the table, and I have a chair at the table because I have a seat at the table. And as a result of that, they bring themselves to the table, but young people cannot really, in some regards, articulate their expressions and their feelings. And I think we really need a national overhaul where our youth is concerned, because make no mistake, the Ministry of Youth and Sports will not be able to empower all of the young people across this entire state and really take them to a place where we want to see them come into areas of leadership, come into areas of entrepreneurship, etc. It's going to take a multi-sectoral approach, and maybe from a government perspective, calling upon these stakeholders to join with us as we do. It's not building back. For me, it's taking back, because in some regards, I feel as though we've lost them. I feel as though we've lost a generation, and that there is a need. For example, when I went to TAMCC on Thursday, I went with a distressed three-quarter jeans, long football socks up to my knee, Adidas sneakers, and a Jano T-shirt kind of thing. And I told the council, don't be surprised when I do not show up in jacket and tie, because I want the conversation to be relevant with the young people, albeit they will be in T-shirt that represents their various departments and jeans. So I wanted the conversation to be very relaxed and very cordial, very friendly. I didn't want the atmosphere to be too formal or structured, because I understand in order for you to be able to reach them, sometimes you have to meet them at the point where they are at. And as a result of that, I believe that we've lost a generation. And in some regards, you have an elderly generation that is not able to really communicate effectively to our youth. And the persons who are able to do so should be allowed and should be afforded the opportunity to be able to speak the language of our young people. And I believe that there is a group of young, youthful leaders in this country that's able to really, speak to our young people. But I also believe that from a very deep principle place, Terry, that there is a spiritual element to man that he longs for and that he desires, that man does not know he needs until he comes into collision with it. So apart from collision, it's like a Paul and Saul situation. You have to collide with the presence of God or the Spirit of God in order for you to understand that what you've been doing was wrong, and as a result you need to turn from that direction and turn towards. And I believe apart from the social programs and the economic programs that we're going to put together as a government to be able to build back the social and economic framework for youth in the country, there's also a very deep spiritual framework that needs to be built back. And when people are lost, program and projects are good, but at the same time, for me, it is this, and that's just my humble opinion, it is the spiritual aspect that is going to really draw the individual back into place. And I really believe that our young people need, a very strong spiritual immersion. Nobody's forcing religion or anything like that down our young people's throat. We just want them to be spiritually aware. To be spiritually conscious and spiritually there, that there is a God that helps. that there is a Christ that motivates you intrinsically, that inspires you intrinsically, that you do not have to take your life because you feel that you're not loved, because he loves you. And that if you feel mentally weary, and that if you feel physically tired, and that this world has nothing else to offer you, that Christ is the answer. Apart from the program and the project, which is going to help build your skill craft, Christ, from a spiritual perspective, can really induce you with that power and that vigor that you need to be able to kick for another day. So
preach the word, brother.
So for me, it's twofold. We build the projects and programs that gives them the marketability thereafter, as it relates to employment. But we also give them the spiritual aspect of things. Yep. Because I really do believe that there are a number of young persons in this country, be it Catholic, Presbyterian, Berean, Pentecostal, Evangelical, etc., that has a strong spiritual awareness. And we want them to come out from a form of godliness and denying the power thereof to godliness and knowing the power thereof. So that's where my heart is. Yep. Re-youth. I don't believe that in my tenure I will be able to reach every young person across this nation. That's really far-fetched. We will definitely try and do from a Ministry of Youth and Sports perspective, because some of the programs that we have, Terry, Empower, excellent program. The former minister, I understand where her mind was at when that program was developed. You have many other different programs under the Ministry of Youth and Sports that speaks, well, some are gender specific, and some, they entail both genders. And the programs are good, as I alluded to. The projects are good, but we really want to be able to kind of re-engineer these programs so that they are effective, and at the end of the program, measurable. We can trace your success thereafter. Yeah.
Yeah, great, fantastic. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, let us know about tomorrow, Monday the 11th, the special sitting of the 2024 Commonwealth Youth Parliament debate.
No problem.
Back with you in a moment.
Yeah.
Let's hit the road with the Canada chapter of the National Democratic Congress. Join the bus trip on Saturday, April 13th to Fallsview Casino Resort, Niagara Falls. For just $50, you'll receive round-trip transportation and $35 in casino credit to try your luck at the tables and slots. Don't miss out on this fun-filled day trip, departing from Scarborough Town Centre YWCA at 10:30 a.m., Sheridan Mall at 11 a.m., and Square One at 11:30 a.m. Reserve your seat now by calling Ghana Liverpool at 416-427-8659, Louise Noel Ambrose at 905-865-1027, or Keno Mitchell at 647-242-9256. Government ID required. Must be 19 and older. You can also e-transfer payment to NDC Group at gmail.com. Experience the thrill of the casino with the Canada chapter of the National Democratic Congress. Book your ticket today.
Women from the parishes of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique attended the trip to Carriacou on Saturday the 9th of March.
Hi, from St. George, Northwest from local constituency. We outside getting ready to go to the sister house. Hello, we Tamika is here, Brianna is here, all from Northwest area. How you doing?
We are a group of women. These here are from St. David's. We come together so that we could empower one another and to make one another realize life is not finished. We could still make things happen. We could make things happen for one another. Look out for each other, So right now we're going to travel to Carriacou and look out for the women up there, hear what they have to offer, and do our thing. It's a togetherness, it's a peace, it's a love. Yeah!
Welcome back to the NDC Heartbeat podcast. Happy to have all of you on who are on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, Talk Grenada, those who are on the NDC Facebook platform, and indeed those who are on YouTube. We're chatting today with Senator the Honorable Jonathan Lecret, the newly appointed minister responsible for youth and sport. Before we went on the break, we introduced a new topic, which is tomorrow's special sitting of the 2024 Commonwealth Youth Parliament debate. Tell us about that.
Well, even before I delve into that, Terry, we are seeing the emergence of a cadre of youth parliamentarians like never before.
Wonderful.
Because coming out of the education system, even from a TAMCC and university perspective, be it UE campus here or SGU, you would never really hear students at that level saying that they want to become a politician. And that's the truth, based on our surveys from an education perspective. And looking at this cadre of young parliamentarians, the way that they debate, the kind of research that they delve into when they come to the parliament, be it those who represent the government side or those who represent the opposition side, it's really awesome. I remember Minister Emmeline Pear back in the early 2000s when she started the National Youth Parliament project. I was a part of that project because I was teaching at that time, maybe about 3-4 years into teaching at that time. And I had students who represented Happy Hill Secondary School at that time on the project. And I really saw a project like that as very empowering, especially to our young people. And I say that because you look at it today and how it has evolved into something so beautiful and so wonderful that gives our young people the space to be able to express their opinion in the Parliament of Grenada about a particular subject or topic that they may be estranged from, but based upon the research that they've done, they realize, wow, this is unique to me because I am at the center of this, because I'm Grenadian. So tomorrow, God's willing, they are going to be debating on the subject or the topic, whether or not Grenada should withdraw. Very technical and touchy. Withdraw its membership from the Commonwealth. So I am really intrigued.
That is interesting.
Very
That's an
interesting
topic.
Especially in this post-independence era.
Absolutely.
Should we withdraw our membership from the Commonwealth? I am really particularly looking forward to the points that are going to come both from the opposition, how they are going to wing that, and whether or not they're going to use examples in the region where that has been done, and as well as the government side, and whether or not they are going to use examples in the Caribbean or in the region where, staying with the Commonwealth has meant something too. My Caribbean country. You understand? So we are looking forward to some heated debates. We also have representatives from the UK that are going to be here, from the UK Parliament, that will be here. They will be viewing as well. They are our honoured guests. I believe that the chambers will be filled with a number of secondary school students and primary school students, as well as visitors from various constituencies or parishes. And we're looking forward to hear our young people debate on a level that only speaks to the excellence that we require of them. Their training has been extremely rigorous over the past couple of weeks. I know that they have been researching like crazy, ensuring that they do not miss a piece of detail so that when they stand, they represent all other young persons throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique when they speak to the subject at hand.
Fantastic. That should be a very exciting and engaging session.
It definitely most will be.
What time does it start?
I believe at 9 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's corrected. Up at the Parliament
building. And that's up at
Mount
the Parliament
Welldale.
building, Mount Welldale.
Fantastic. Well, this is an opportunity for young people to come out and engage.
Middle age as well as old.
Absolutely. And to see the performance of our young people on the setting of parliamentary democracy. An expose for all young people to take this opportunity to be there.
But it's apart from that, it's also an opportunity to see the emergence of leaders. Very critical. Leaders, especially at the policy-making level of the country. You will have those that will emerge from an entrepreneurial perspective, be it skills, culinary, etc. But you're seeing an emergence of young persons who are saying, I like this art form. I think this art form is going to really speak well for me if I enter into it and become a champion for change and of change, and really become somebody who advocates on the behalf of others in a very vehement way. So to me, I'm particularly pleased to see the emergence of these youthful leaders. I think that they all have a place in the political arena and the political landscape of this country, and we really want to be able to encourage them to continue to press on. I believe that we do so. during their training sessions. We inspire them and we motivate them. I really wanted the opportunity to meet them before the Parliament on Monday, but because of the hectic sporting season, national champs, just name it, and other sporting events, I was extremely busy over the past 2 weeks or so. But nevertheless, for those of them that are listening, your Minister for Youth and Sports, want to wish you all the best. Tomorrow, God's willing, I will be there cheering you on in the chambers and being your biggest cheerleader, because we are really proud of our Grenadian youth across the state.
This is going to be really quite an exciting moment
indeed.
It will be. And it speaks to the fact that young people are taking on their rightful place in society.
Correct.
You know, the interest that they show. And as you rightfully put it, the anticipated deliberations would be really, really, goosebumps will come upon you.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
I think that we are anticipating, the ministry is anticipating, the public is anticipating, because we have been advertising it for the last 2 weeks or so now. But what's troubling for me is a lot of our programs and projects are pitched here at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. My heart is here because I have functioned here before in terms of being a part of these very said programs, or whether it's through training some of my students to take part, etc. But my heart is also here. The young man that sits on the block, that doesn't have an understanding of who he is and feels as though his life is incomplete because he dropped out in Form 2 or 3 and does not have a particular pathway that he thinks he can walk in order for him to be able to feel like a success or to feel valued. The young lady who got pregnant in Form 2 and dropped out of school and had her whole life changed because herself being a child is now having a child and have to raise a child. So even though we have programs that are pitched here and programs that are pitched at the middle, I think sometimes the programs that we really forget to develop are the programs that are pitched at this base level, to be able to speak to the heart and the mind and the soul of the young man or young woman who feels as though life has dealt with them terribly or badly, and no one stretches a hand to lift that young man or young woman up. So one of our tasks at the Ministry of Youth and Sports is to come up with some serious grassroots programs and projects. I've spoken to my national coordinator for youth and sports as well as the assistant national coordinator, and I said we must sit and brainstorm whether we go to the block and we meet them, Terry, on a Saturday or a Sunday. We have to make the sacrifice, because you see, when you make a clarion call for persons to at that base level to come to you, you seldom do find them coming. Maybe one or two.
Yep.
But if you go to where they are,
That's right.
they will sit with you and they will chat and they will immerse you in a conversation that may even change your life. And I'm telling you,
Indeed.
and your perspective as it relates to how you look at youth development and youth empowerment, because I don't know how much of the block you are.
Oh, trust me, I've been there. One time in golf course, went into a session and said to a fella, how are things? No, he asked me how I said, I'm taking it easy. The man responded, boss, it's not easy to take it easy. You know, I thought that was so fundamental.
Okay, so now that I know that you're street, I grew up in Fontenoy, and there are many areas of Fontenoy that really hardcore, really street. Many areas of Northwest that a bit hardcore and a bit street. And as a result of that, you get to understand the block life a bit. Granted, I grew up in a very protected environment because my father was a minister of religion, but when I got the opportunity to run away, joke to run away and be on the block with the guys, you tend to have a very wider perspective of what the world is offering and how you as a young person can navigate that perspective and navigate it well. So we really want to be able to reach that cadre of young persons who fall at this base level, who feel as though life has dealt them a very bad hand, and maybe a program may not necessarily cut it, because some of those guys and gals, they're not really akin to programs, because they may start programs, they've been to many of them already. When you talk to some of them, and yes, they got the skill, but what happened thereafter? You want to be able to really reach them from a social perspective and build them, because the most powerful thing that you can do is to really build an individual from the inside out and not just from the outside in, because when I'm built up from inside, I understand my intrinsic value and my intrinsic ability, and as a result of that, I can now build for myself what I want on the outside. So we're coming to the block very soon. We are planning as to which month we're going to start and how we're going to roll out that national block program, project, whatever you would want to call it at the end of the day, but it will be termed nicely, of course.
Yes.
And we just show up and block show the entire state
and
just have a chat with young men and women, because you need the data. One, as a youth and sporting sector, you need the data. You need to know what these individuals need. What is it that you would want a Ministry of Youth and Sports to do for you, who feel as though you have nowhere to turn to? Yes, and one of the things that I am going to be doing, I've spoken to my PS about it already, and some members of the senior management team, my national youth coordinator, is open the minister's doors to young persons across the state who feel as though they're mentally challenged, who feel depressed and oppressed, young persons who feel as though there is no way out and they just need somebody to talk, young persons who feel that they need some degree of prayer, some degree of deliverance. Open the ministry's doors to the nation's youth on a scheduled basis, of course, because you don't want a Pandora's box that you can't control. On a schedule and appointment basis, of course, so that these young persons can have a safe haven, safe space to have an outlet. And we've just hired a clinical psychologist at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. She used to work there before some time ago, but is now back with us. I felt the need to bring her back, Terry, because we need a social care unit, especially as a youth and sporting ministry. And as a result of that, her and I will be working closely together for that open door that the minister is about to have. So we'll be calling all youth. Once you feel as though you need to just sit and chat, you need some life career directive, the ministry is going to open its doors very shortly on a schedule and appointment basis for these young people to have a safe space to be able to talk. And we're going to pray with them.
Fantastic. Well, on this note, I want to publicly state that your new portfolio has been well bestowed upon you by Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. Now, quite honestly, the emotional intelligence which you bring to this particular portfolio, your background as a former school principal, as a former preacher, as a former educational instructor, you seem to come with that full package for really impacting the youth of this nation. And I want to congratulate you for your work and congratulate Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell for choosing you as the right point person to lead the youth out of what is perceived to be the morass which so many of them have found themselves. Former Minister Ron Redhead had laid a beautiful foundation for you to really uplift the youth of this nation with, and congratulations to him. Let me congratulate you for what so far appears to be a great
we have a structure,
emotional intelligence structure that you are putting together to ensure that our youth benefit from your programs.
Thank you, and well received.
Let us go on to the upcoming Carifta games and Intercol. How are these games progressing?
Well, let's deal with Intercol first. Having been a creature of Intercol, I'm now seeing, Mr. Daniel Thomas used to be my former principal. And when I say former principal, he was the principal when I taught at Happy Hill Secondary School for the years that I've been there. And I was very instrumental in assisting him and Mr. Ashby and Mr. Philip, who was at Wesley College at the time, Mr. Jim Alexander, who was at McDonald College at the time. These were the forerunners of Intercol as it relates to principal leadership, really going on the ground and ensuring that all of the logistical arrangements, etc., are well set for the games. And I was the tail tagging along behind Mr. Thomas because, Happy Hill Secondary School was responsible for the distribution and delivery of juice and water to the entire games, athletes, officials, etc., tea room, so on and so forth. So as a result of that, the training and background spilled over into my principal leadership stint at the school. And as a result, you got a very deep understanding of the the workings, the inner workings of Intercol, how it happens, all of the arrangements that takes place behind closed doors. It carries a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
So Mr. Jeremiah, who led the Principals Association a couple of years now, he's now currently the Chief Education Officer. I was his Vice President of the Principals Association for 2 years. I served as Vice President with him on the Principals Association of Secondary Schools. And when you get an understanding of what Intercol entails, we're not even going to touch the financial aspect of it, because it's thousands of dollars to be able to run Intercol for 2-3 days. And we used to have it for 2 and then had to expand it for 3 because the athletic pool was growing per secondary school. The field events were growing. The athletic races were growing. And as a result of that, you really wanted to give the students in that particular brief season a comprehensive package of athletic and field so that they can go away feeling, a sense of exuberance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, before we go on to Carifta, we're going to take a short break because time is really catching up on us and we have to share some information with our listening audience.
Wonderful.
The trip to Carifta yesterday was very successful. We had over 160 women there in all. We had a very good experience. The women of Carifta turned out. Our intention really was to meet with the women in Carifta because we are celebrating International Women's Day under the theme inclusion. So we thought we should go to them, let them know that they are part of us. And I know that has never happened before. So that in mind,
Calling all couples, Source of Wellness presents the 3rd annual Epic Marriage Conference for couples only, to be held at the Radisson Grenada Beach Resort in sunny Grenada on Saturday, March 23rd through Sunday, March 24th. At this year's Reexamination for Love themed event, get ready to hear true epic love stories, panel discussions, esteemed guest speakers, vow renewals, dancing, and much more. You will join Drs. Jason and Tanasha Gray in collaboration with Pastors Paul and Dorette Alexander, Reverend Joaquin and Lindarin Phillip, Pastors Jim and Ruthlyn Andrew, Michael and Hillary Alexander, Wayne and Cheryl Mitchell of Youth with a Mission Grenada, Alvin and Elizabeth Forsyth, along with Drs. Curtis and Bobby Minter. Get your tickets at the Grenadan Optical, located at Melville Street and Spiceland Mall, Grand Anse, for only $400 EC per couple. Your weekend will include all sessions, conference materials, and lunch for 2. For more information, contact our local organizers at 459-8567 or 449-5872. We can also be emailed at info@sourceofwellness.org. Visit our website at sourceofwellness.org.
Welcome back to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We have in studio today Senator the Honorable Jonathan Lectrette, and we've been chatting about so many things. But before we go on to Carifta Games, let us just get your final comments on the Intercol. I know it's been very exciting.
So I know that I believe that the Principals Association, the executive thereof, they will have, I know it is tradition that you have a final walkabout the Monday before the games, or whatever days the games fall on, that previous day before the actual first day, you'll have a walkabout. So I am assuming that they will have a walkabout on Monday, and just to ensure that all of the logistical arrangements are in place. Security is airtight, and all the other administrative and logistical arrangements are at a particular standard that they are, they feel safe, with, and that the games can be run off in a very effective and a very efficient way. There are a number of athletic enthusiasts who feel that Intercol is open this year, both for boys and girls, while there are some who feel that there are specific schools who have shown some degree of athletic prowess at the national champs, etc. I'm not going to speak to that. I'm going to keep. I'm going to hold my tongue where that is concerned. But I do believe that we are going to see a degree of excellent sportsmanship as per usual, and a degree of a rivalry on the track, both through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday taking place that's going to speak to the level of preparation that our athletes have been involved in. So I want to say hats off to the president of the Principals Association of Grenada, Mrs. Diane Abel Jeffrey, and all of the other principals who serve with her on the Principals Association. The nation is looking forward to an excellent runoff of the games Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we will continue to stand behind you and support as a Ministry of Youth and Sports from a technical perspective as well as a financial perspective. Yes.
So you have Monday with the special sitting. You have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which would be Intercol activities.
Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So a lot of youth are expected down at the National Stadium to participate in this. So it's a very exciting time for the Ministry of Youth and Sport.
Youth and Sport is as vibrant as health.
Oh, yes.
It's as moving as it has much momentum.
Ministry of Health is not an easy ministry to deal with.
It has much momentum as health. So
not an easy ministry. So Carifta, what is upcoming for Carifta?
Well, I know that from an LOC perspective, that's the local organizing committee. They are definitely prepared. They have given their commitment to ensure that Grenadians, as well as the Caribbean and the world, will experience at this Junior Premier Games a real spirit of sportsmanship and an excellent cadre of athletes from across the entire Caribbean taking part in these games, giving of their best and showing the level of preparation that they have been involved in over the past year or so. We have done some significant work from a Ministry of Youth and Sports perspective, ensuring that the track is relayered, and we are particularly pleased about that we were able to do it before the national games start, and thereafter be able to use it for Intercol and Carifta, because we want our athletes to feel a sense of value and a sense of pride. And you're hosting your Caribbean counterparts, and as a result of that, you want to be able to have a facility that is of a particular standard, regionally and locally. So all things have been put in place. I believe logistically they are putting their things in place. I heard Mr. Aaron Moses on that social media program that Mr. Bascom hosts. And from having dialogues with them frequently over the past couple of weeks, I know that they are in preparation to ensuring that protocol is properly done, that hotel accommodation is properly done, that the meals are properly done, etc. Because you want to be able to give our Caribbean counterparts a lasha cuisine. That's a part of me that just jumps out from now and then. They want to be able to give our Caribbean they must never forget the oil dung, the crayfish waters, the whatever it is that they will get while they're here for the few days that they are visiting as well as competing. So we're ready to host, and I believe that we're going to really, really be proud at the end of the day that we were able to have the pick for Carifta to be held in Grenada, and the former Minister for Youth and Sports was extremely instrumental in ensuring as well that Grenada, our hands were on the draw to be picked for the host country. So, Minister, thank you, and thank you for your work, sir.
Yep, absolutely so indeed. I recall a couple of months ago, he and we spoke about that, and that Grenada was chosen. Of course, his initiative in making it happen was really quite a great job indeed. How many young persons are expected from the region?
Terry, I don't think that there is a number chart.
Hundreds
of persons. In fact, all the finish line seats were already sold out. I mean, within the first week or two that tickets went online for sale, all the finish line seats were already taken by the teams from the Bahamas, Santox and Caicos, etc.
Line out to us, to our listeners, the countries that will be participating.
I think there are over 30 countries that will be here, that will be converging on our shows come the 30th, 31st, and the 1st of. It's going to be
so huge. You're referring from Trinidad and the South.
Oh, yes.
Guyana, Jamaica, Turks and Caicos,
BVI, just name it. And they're all coming with their teams. Teams like countries like the Bahamas who come with 50-something, 60-something persons on their team. It's here.
Wow.
So our hotel industry is going to benefit.
Oh,
and,
tremendously.
Our guest
All
homes,
our vendors
our guest
and-
home vendors,
yeah.
etc. They will benefit, and it's really going to be an awesome experience to have our Caribbean counterparts on our shores.
Yeah.
Just having a very Grenadian time
Yep.
with Grenadians.
Absolutely, sir, indeed.
And we want to encourage our people as well to come out
Yes.
and be a part of this experience. Our Grenadian team will be representing Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique on that day, and we want as much as the Bahamians are coming,
Yep.
and as much as the Turks, as much as they are coming, we want our people to also flood the stands and to support our athletes, because on that particular day, they're not from McDonald College, they're not from SAS,
That's
they're
right.
not from Boca,
Yep.
they're not from Wesley College, but they are a Grenadian athlete
Yep.
representing Grenada
Brilliant.
at the Carifta Games, and as a result, they need the collective support
Right.
of every Grenadian.
And the date for the Carifta Games are what again?
30th, 31st, and the 1st of April. 30th of March, 31st of March, and Monday the 1st of
And
April.
Monday the 1st of
Yes.
April. Well, there's some time for planning and for people to
Oh
get
yes, indeed.
themselves
Yes,
organized,
and to get all the
etc.
nitty-gritty in
Yeah.
sync. Yeah.
Well, this may be probably an equally large crowd that we saw at the stadium on the 7th of February, would you say?
Yes, indeed.
Or would it be larger?
It will be larger.
Oh,
It will be larger.
wow. That
Will
would
be
be a massive, massive, massive.
There are a
crowd
few
that
things that brings Grenadian out, you know.
Oh, yes.
Athletics is one of them. Apart from
indeed.
independence and being a proud Grenadian and having the feeling of, the 50th, athletics.
Yeah.
You want to see a community come out and support each other, especially when me and you, or you and I, not talking to each other. I see there are things that bring communities together that some persons who are not, well, as we say in our local parlance, we noise. You'll never know that we noise because we stand up by the finish line rooting for the same athlete from our community.
Indeed.
And there are some things that collectively brings a community all together that sometimes people forget that they have differences and challenges and they come together for one common cause.
Absolutely, so indeed. I mean, obviously, to begin with, our airport need to be really fine-tuned and well-oiled in receiving these hundreds of Caribbean nationals coming to participate in the Carifta Games.
Yes, well, the LOC and the GOC, they're working overtime to ensure that is done, that the necessary transportation is on ground to carry these athletes and their teams. I will be there to greet my ministerial counterparts.
Well,
I know that the Minister for Youth and Sports, Tux and Kikos, is going to Canwait.
Well, you'll have to sleep close by in one of the hotels because you'll be at the airport every day.
They'll be coming in left, right, and center at different hours during the day as well as in the morning. The Minister for Youth and Sports, St. Lucia, is going to be here. I think there are about 8 ministers for youth and sports that will be here, and together with their Carifta teams and so on.
All right.
So I'm looking forward to meeting my Caribbean counterparts and having some very good dialogue with them about the youth and sporting industry in our various Caribbean territories.
Absolutely. Well, let me just say to our listeners on radio that we will continue for another 2-3 minutes because the time has quickly caught up with us, and to thank them for joining the Heartbeat today and to invite them to come online, either on the NDC Facebook feed or on YouTube. We'll be continuing our conversation with Senator the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette. Carifta, that is going to be quite an event for Grenada.
It is.
Call it at the end of March into the first day of April.
Yeah.
Folks must put this in their diary, in the calendars and so forth. It's going to be an exciting time in Grenada. Wow. Imagine we hosting thousands of visitors from the Caribbean. This is almost going to be like another independence because it was really
coming on the heels of independence. Yes,
absolutely, sir, indeed, fantastic.
It is one of the junior premier games in the world that countries look forward to hosting, as well as look forward to participating in and contributing to the athletic industry as well as the field industry. So we're particularly pleased and particularly proud that we're hosting. I believe that the GOC as well as the LOC will ensure that Grenada has or put on the performance of a lifetime, whether it be on the track or cultural performances, because we must give them a taste of our culture. And even though we are one melting pot of a Caribbean, our cultures are different. So I mean, coming to Grenada and getting a taste of our culture is extremely important, because we want that the memory you go back with to be a lasting one.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
Now, do you normally, or would there be international observers who are looking on to see which
Of course.
athlete may have potential for the big
course.
stage?
And potential for scholarships as well,
Yeah.
of course. Because I know the team, there are some members of the team, our Grenadian Carifta team, that have already been put together. But I know that the athletic enthusiasts, they're waiting for Intercol to complete, so that the other athletes who need to be added to the team based on their timing and so on and so forth can be added to the team. So Intercol is going to be a sort of catchment area as well, where they're going to be looking at certain athletes so that they can join the team for Carifta as well.
Well, another great platform and opportunity for the youth.
For exposure.
Yeah, of Grenada and the youth
International
of the
exposure,
region.
correct.
Yeah. Well,
Provides
time
a
has really caught up with us.
I can't
so-
believe the hour.
Oh, that has gone by already. We can certainly continue on, but we know you have your commitments and it's Sunday.
Indeed, yes.
So let me thank you
I'm heading to
for
the
joining
Constituency.
the Heartbeat today. It was really quite a interacting
Thank you very much.
and very stimulating conversation with you,
Thank you.
as always, and to invite you to come back again soon after all the games are over,
Yeah.
to give an
Give you a
update.
postmortem.
Yeah, postmortem as to what took place. So let me invite you, therefore, to have your final comments.
Thank you for being a most gracious host as well. I just want to say that the development and empowerment of youth is left up to all of us. So for those of you who are living in communities where you know youth are stricken, whether socio-economically, spiritually, or otherwise, you can definitely reach out and lend a helping hand. Once that help is received and welcomed, you can always reach out and lend a helping hand and lift that young person up. Or you can also refer them to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. We're ready, we're willing, we're going to assist where we can, help where we can, build where we can, restore where we can. And I think that's a watchword I want to use moving forward in my tenure at the Ministry of Youth and Sport. Restoration. A lot of our youth needs to be restored.
Right.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, let me thank you so very
You're
much
welcome,
again.
Terry.
Senator the Honourable Jonathan Lecret, Minister responsible for youth and sport. It has been quite a pleasure having you on the set today.
You're welcome, sir.
And thank you for the emotional intelligence which you have shared and the interest and concern for the youth of this nation. You have almost 65% of the nation depending on you. And from all indicators, you seem to be well cut for the job.
Thank God for that.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for being part of the Heartbeat today, and join us again next Sunday, where we will have another interesting dialogue with our new guest.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a great Sunday afternoon.
Welcome,
Goodbye.
sir.
Yeah.
Nice to have you.
Great.